All right, so today we're going to talk about how to get the actual probate leads. We went over it briefly a couple weeks ago on the first webinar that you're on. I think I gave everybody just a brief glimpse on how to get the leads. We're going to go into depth today. We've got an hour, and hopefully we can get all the information in. First thing you need to do is know where the probate files are handled, which courthouse. So if you're in a smaller area, population-wise, less populated area, you're probably going to be going to your superior courthouse for your county. If you're in a highly populated area, it's quite possible that they will have a court specifically for probate, or in my case, multiple court locations. The next is to find a web-based data source. And I'm going to give you a glimpse of that. I think I showed you once before, but there are web-based legal notice publications that post the legal files, divorces, DWIs, probate, the whole 9 yards. And the one I use is very easy to search, and you can search specifically for probate files. I can show you how to search for the new cases, choose the best leads, and then of course you want to enter them into your contact records management system, whatever you are using. If you don't have one, Top Producer is probably the #1 for real estate agents, especially agents working by themselves, and it can also be expanded to work with teams or administrative assistants. So the sources, the most accurate are of course your probate court for your county. However, this is the most time consuming. The next most accurate would be online legal publications, like the one that I'm going to demonstrate to you today. And then the third is to purchase leads. And we've looked at a bunch of different companies. I really don't have one that I can recommend. And I would recommend that everyone start out by harvesting the leads organically on your own. Once you get to a point where you're too busy to do that, your best bet would be to have someone do it for you, to hire someone to do it for you. And then the least desirable would be to purchase the leads. Just give you an example, I demoed a company yesterday. They have a subscription service, you pay $400 a year. You're supposed to get access to all of the probate leads. And they only had 65 for the entire year in Maricopa County. And I know it's incorrect because Maricopa County publishes the number of probate cases they do per year, and it was about 52,000 last year. So there were 52,000 probate cases filed, and this lead source had 65. Not real good. And if I didn't know what questions to ask, I would have paid them the $400 and then found out that they didn't have the leads. So that's the least desirable place to get leads, is by purchasing them. So what courthouse has the probate? Well, it starts with the superior court for your county. It's possible that your county is large enough where it has its own probate courthouse. I can't tell you that. You're going to have to find that information on your own. You could probably do it in about a minute with your computer. Just Google search the name of your county and probate court, and you should pull up your court system. You also want to be realistic when harvesting leads. You don't want to choose leads for the entire county where you live. It's just too large of a geographic area. And so when you find a new filing for probate and you do a quick search to see if there was real estate in it, I know I get this question a lot. Well, what if they have real estate, but it's 3 hours from me? Should I pursue it, or should I try to turn it into a referral? I wouldn't. There's just too many leads available. If it's not within your service area, just pass on it. Pass on it. There are too many other opportunities. Only you can determine how far from your office you're willing to drive for a listing. For me, it's 30 minutes. Because you're going to have to go there multiple times. And to get the most value out of your listing, you're going to want to market to other homeowners on the street. You're going to get buyer leads that are going to want to see properties that are around that area. It's just not profitable if you're going further than 30 minutes away, at least in my situation. Now, if you live in a rural area, perhaps you typically drive an hour or 60 miles. And if you live in a highly populated area, let's say you live in LA, 30 minutes for you could be a 15-mile radius or a 10-mile radius of your office. So you have to determine where you are willing to go for a listing and then set it in stone. Don't even bother with prospects that have property outside of your service area. If you get a case that has more than one piece of real estate, so one piece is within your service area and one piece is out, you go for the one that's inside your service area. Once you list that property, then you see if you can refer it out or co-list the other property if that's possible for you. So let's start with at the courthouse. I know a couple of you have already been out to the courthouse. You did your homework and you found the court and you actually went to the courthouse to have a look. I recommend that everybody do this at least once, but you want to do a little research online before you go. Find out, once again, if you have a separate probate court, you want to find out who the probate clerk of the court is. If it's not a separate court, just find the clerk of the court for the county superior court and go and visit. They have a phone number. It's possible you can call them. You can try calling. These are very busy people, tons of paperwork. You can try to call them. You're not going to get much time. You're better off if you show up in person. Introduce yourself and ask them how to access the new probate cases that are filed in court. This is different for every single courthouse. So I'm not going to show you how it's done here in Maricopa County because this is going to be different where you're at. In some cases, you're going to need the case number. So some counties won't give you any information unless you have the case number. And you'd find that case number online through one of the public lead sources I'm going to share with you. Some courts actually allow you to access all the case information online. Not so here. Maricopa County or Arizona changed it in 2012 to where you can't access it. Attorneys can access all the cases online, but the general public cannot, and we're considered part of the general public. So here in Arizona, I can get the leads online and I can work them just like that, and that's from a public lead source. If I want to dive deeper into a case and actually look at the will, get the list of heirs, and go really deep on it, I can go to the courthouse with the case number and look it up. But you're going to have to visit the courthouse to find out the process. This is like the most difficult part of the whole process. Now, once you visit the courthouse, you know where the cases are filed. You always want to refer to the cases by index or case number. They don't refer to the files by the decedent's name or the heir's name or the personal representative's name. Everything is done by a filing number, and depending upon where you're at, it's either called the index number or the case number. Okay, so once you know the case number, you can find the case and do all your research on that particular case. Some of you will choose to do what I do, and that's just get the lead from a public lead source, search the decedent's name, see if they owned real estate in my area. If they own real estate in my area, then they go into my contact records management system and they get a series of letters and phone calls, and that's it. That's as far as I ever go. I really don't go any deeper than that unless I make contact with the executor or personal representative or administrator. Once I make contact, then I'm going to try to get additional information from them. But I don't spend a bunch of time at the courthouse researching these files. It's just not my thing. I'm more interested in marketing to more personal representatives. But if you want, with the case number, you can find all kinds of information. And for me, I get the case number from a legal publication, but it's aggregated and put online. So I don't have to subscribe to a newspaper. I actually just get it online. I'm going to show you how I do that. Now, sometimes you can go to the courthouse and ask for the new filings or new cases for the last week, and you can get that. Once again, this is going to be specific to each person's area. we start at the courthouse. So always start at the courthouse, meet with the clerk of the court, tell them what you're doing, and see if they can point you in the right direction. While you're at the courthouse, you can look at the file. The file will tell you if there's real estate. In some cases, it'll tell you who the heirs are. It'll tell you who the contact or how to contact their personal representative. So it will give their name, address, telephone number. And of course, after that, it's simple, right? You just make an appointment with the personal representative and get a listing. we wish, right? Probate files are organized by the name or the case number. It's held in the county where the decedent lived, and I see a misspelling there, sorry. You know, I constantly get people who are like, hey, somebody in my neighborhood passed away and there's a vacant house. You know, you can ask the neighbors and find out the name of the deceased person. You could go to the courthouse and do a search of their name and try to match the address of the property to the address on the file. You can find out who's paying taxes on the property. There's a lot of ways to track down the owners of it. But this is, you know, if you live in an area with a reasonable number of probate cases, I don't advise chasing properties. Don't chase properties. Once you find the probate file, you can open it up, find out who's in charge of it. Every county has their own system. Once again, the probate clerk of the court can tell you how the system works. The first publication is typically called the Notice to Creditors or Notice of Petition to Administer Estate. And this, I'm going to show you how to find these online, but this typically means that a probate case has been, well, this definitely means a probate case has been opened. And this is the beginning of the process for us to determine if this is a good lead or not. You can do a Google search, like type in Kansas City Public Notices legal newspaper, and you'll get a list of publications. Find one that says legal and public notice, and most of them are pretty advanced now. You'll be able to search by probate, and you're going to get a whole list of probate filings because there's multiple filings for every probate case. You're looking at you want to find the beginning of it. And the beginning of it is Notice to Petition to Administer Estate. So once you find this, this is the beginning of the treasure map, if you will. Now in my case, here in Arizona, I'm going to show you, it will tell me, or it'll show me when I search the public notices, it shows me the name of the decedent, and I can Google the name of the decedent, get more information. I can also run a quick MLS search through our tax system and find out if they own property. If they did, that's enough for me. If that information is not available to you and all you can find is the decedent's name and case number, you can take that case number to the courthouse or look it up. Some courthouses will allow you to look it up online and get more information on the case and find out if there was real estate owned. Somebody asked me last time if I ever use obituaries. I don't. You know, obituary is way premature, and I also think it's probably unethical, or at least distasteful for me to chase obituaries. I just go straight to probate files. Reading the file, we're going to talk about that, how to use the internet to sort the files, what you should take to the courthouse if you're going to go the route of working at the courthouse, how to work with the probate clerk, how to access the files, how to go through the file to get answers, and some of the key elements of the probate leads. When I first started pursuing probate listings, I was getting the leads from the courthouse. Leads were free, but I spent a lot of time going down there, sorting through the new files, etc. That's when I discovered you can get the leads online. And so what I do is each week I search for the new probate cases in my county. This is an online search. Then I search the county, the property tax database, and that's through my MLS system. We have a portal where we can search by the name or address, and I see if they own real estate in my area. If they do, that's a lead. Okay, so that's as far as I take it. At that point, they go into my CRM, and I start mailing them. Just Google legal publication in your county, and you should pull up a website that aggregates all the legal publications or the legal notices, and most of these will include probate, divorce, and conservatorship files. The only ones I care about are the probate. This is an example when I searched for Arizona. So I searched Arizona public notice, and I got Arizona public notice ads.com and publicnoticeleads.com. Both of these work well. Both of them allow me to search by probate cases. Then also shows maricopa.gov. So, but the county here, Maricopa County, doesn't allow you to research probate cases online. So I use public notice leads, and I'm going to show you what their website looks like here. All right, so this is publicnoticeleads.com. You can see it allows me to search by county, and I'm pretty sure this is this particular website's nationwide. It's worked for every place so far that we've tried. Publicnoticeleads.com. Search by Maricopa County. Search all newspapers. We type in probate right here, and then I use the date range. So when you first start, just start with last week. You don't need to be searching for a year or a month of probate leads. It's too many in the beginning. You want to start off with what's happened in the last week. If you don't have any, or there's just 3 or 4 last week, you can go back 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but you want to start out with about 10 leads. That'll be plenty for you to begin with. Then go right, you can see these are all the probate notices. You can see this first one, notice of a hearing. Okay, that's probably too far into the, we can click the link and read more information. Notice, the next one down is notice of informal probate of will and appointment of personal representative. If you were on the last webinar, you know this is the one we chose. In this case, it turned out it was too late. They'd already sold the property, but this next one is notice of informal probate of will and appointment of personal representative. That's probably another good one. This is the beginning. Notice of petition for education of intestacy. Now, determine heirs. Appointment of a personal administrator. That's another good one. Appointment of a personal administrator means the person died without a will, and so in this case, most likely what has happened is the judge has appointed someone to be the administrator, probably a relative, and has determined who the heirs are. So that's another good one. Next one down. Probate notice to creditors. Probate notice to creditors, this is a new lead, right? This is one of the first actions that takes place. What they're doing is they're putting everyone on notice, hey, this person has passed away. If they owe you money, come forward. You only have 90 days. Here's another one, notice to creditors. So this usually signifies the beginning of the process. Notice of personal representative, notice of probate of will and appointment of personal representative. So once again, now we know who the personal representative is because it's going to be named. Up here, in notice to creditors, we might not know who the personal representative is yet. So if you wanted it now, you might have to go to the courthouse with the case number and find out. Here, down here, notice of informal probate of will and appointment of personal representative. We know who the personal representative is now. It's going to show us. And this is an example. This is a notice of appointment of personal representative. I think I showed you guys this one before. But it tells us who the decedent is. It's Joanne Rose. And it tells us who her personal representative is right here. Tells us who she is. Now, at this point, we don't have the personal representative's address. So if we can't find it online, which I think in this case I was able to, there are some services like IntelliUs or Spoke.io that you can pay to subscribe to look people up. Right? So if you're lazy like me, I'm sorry, if you're busy like me and you don't want to go to the courthouse, this is how I'd handle this lead. I see Joanne Rose. I check and see that Joanne Rose owns property. Right? This is a tax record search. Since Joanne Rose owns property and I have the name of the personal representative, first I'm going to Google her, see if I can find her information. If not, I'm going to go to, I subscribe to Spoke.io, and I'll send that link to everyone, but it's like $4.95 a month, and I'll type her name in there, and typically, probably about 80% of the time, I will get the address, mailing address of this person. And so I put them in the CRM, and I'll begin marketing straight to Sharon. More tax records for this. So it just shows all the information. Now, we don't want to mail to the address of the property, right? This is the decedent. We're not going to mail to the decedent or to the decedent's property. We're going to mail to the personal representative, and we can find the personal representative's mailing address one of two ways: at the courthouse or by using a service like Spoke.io. It's $4.95 a month, I believe. Now, once again, in this case, we found out that the property was already listed. So I also checked the MLS, make sure I'm not marketing to a personal representative where the property has just been sold or was already on the market. It's possible their property is on the market when they passed away. We don't know. So we want to check first. Some important information on this one. We see that Sharon Sue was appointed personal representative of the state, and a bond is not required. So she has full authority to sell that house. She has full authority to sell the decedent Joe A. Rose's house. And we see up here a lot of addresses. These are the probate attorneys. We're not going to market to them. We want to market to the personal representative, Sharon Sue, because she is the one that's going to be responsible for liquidating this estate and selling it. It doesn't show us her address here. We can get her address by going to the courthouse with this probate record number, PB 2017 051716. So that's our case number. Take that to the courthouse, and we will be able to get the address for Sharon Sue Schmitz. I would just highlight and copy Sharon Sue Schmitz name, open another web browser, type in Spoke.io.com, enter my login and password, paste her name in, get her address that way. $4.95 a month saves me from going down to the courthouse. Now, when you search for these files, you're also going to see probate files for conservatorship, guardianship, and living trust files. The only thing I'm looking for, the only thing I'm interested in, are new probate cases. I find the decedent's name. I search the tax record to see if they have real estate. If they have real estate, I get the personal representative's name, market to them. Those are the only two things I need. If there's real estate in my area, in the case, I need the personal representative, just the same as the executor's name, and I'm going to market to them. If it's a administrator, it means they died without a will. Same thing, I need the administrator's name, the decedent's name, and the address of the real estate. Search for the administrator's address. You market to the administrator. You market to your personal representative, your executor, you market to your administrator. So kind of a timeline we put together. In the beginning, So as soon as the case is filed, we have here. So this is if we find the notice to administer estate and probate a will, this begins the process, okay? And this is really the gathering of the legal paperwork. The next thing that happens is the court will grant letters of testamentary. So that means we're about 90 days into the process. Next thing we see is notice to creditors. And this is where the estate begins to sell the property. Okay. So it's up to you, but I like to start marketing here. I like to start marketing here when the first notice comes out, the notice to administer the estate. And I know it's going to be about 90 days from here to here. Now, why would I want to market 90 days in advance? This gives me a chance to build a relationship with the personal representative or administrator. And that's what next week when I give you the letters are designed to position you as an expert at selling probate properties and as a resource to help them get through this process. You see, because in this period here, this 90 days here, there's things that need to be done over at the house, right? So the house needs to be rekeyed. Somebody needs to be mowing the grass. It's possible that it needs to be winterized or repairs made, or someone meet the utility company. They might want to have prepare for an estate sale. They might want to get estimates for repairs, like if the house needs a new roof. So in here you have this is your chance to build value. And then when we get to this point, this is where you turn into the real estate salesperson and you ask for the listing. So the first 90 days it's marketing, but they can't make a decision. This is all service. We're offering service. We're offering to be a resource. We're offering help. Here is when we ask for the sale. First 90 days is just gathering paperwork. The family has filed for the petition to probate it. They're waiting for the court to confirm it. They're waiting for letters of testamentary. Keep in mind, once you have this, it's on. They can't sell anything during that first 90 days. Once it's granted, and they have the letters of testamentary, next thing is up. Okay. As soon as the notice to creditors happen, we see the property gets listed. So as soon as you see this notice, so this is what we're looking for. It moves through the court system. In most cases, it takes 90 days to get to the point where they can sell the house, where they have authority to sell the house. Doesn't mean it's going to get done then. It may take them 30 days to get it on the market. At that point, they seem to be in a big hurry. They need lots of help because now they need to have an estate sale. They need to clean the place out. They need to make some repairs. They need to make it presentable. And so during that first 90 days, it's important to remember that this is the where you build a relationship, and the theory is you provide service. You're going to have the case number from the legal newspaper. You can go to the website of the county that handles the probate records and get that information. If you see conservatory on any of the documents, that means the person is still alive, but they're probably in a nursing home. I don't mess with those cases. Some people do. Just too many of them here. If you do elect to go to the courthouse to do research at the courthouse, how do you handle that? What do you take? Almost every courthouse I've been to has security systems in place after 9/11, so you don't want to bring any unnecessary metal objects, right? You'll be emptying your pockets, your purse. Take a photo ID with you. You're not going to get in without a photo ID. And bring a list of your case numbers and index numbers. So this is where if we were going to go find Sharon Sue Schmidt's information, we would take the case number for Rose, a pen and a legal pad, and some money for parking, because you got to pay to park most of these places. We would go to the courthouse. We would go to the clerk of the court for probate court, and we would ask to see the case number. And once we get the case, we read through the file, we find the personal representative's address, and usually if you get the physical file, you get their address, their phone number, their email address. And at that point, you know, it's game on. We'd want to follow that case, but that's definitely a hot one. The probate clerk, they're very important. They control all of the information. You want to be polite and just ask for their help. I mean, they understand the probate system completely, probably more so than any attorney you're going to meet. Make sure that you show them that you appreciate their help, and make sure you return the files the way you got them. So if you ask for a file, and don't spread it out over the table, take out one page at a time, put it back in the way you got it. Make sure you don't mess up their files. If you mess up their files, you're going to have a hard time dealing with them in the future. Some courts allow you to make copies. You used to be able to take a camera phone and take pictures. I don't know. Most courthouses won't let you do that anymore. I just take notes. You can ask the clerk what the rules are. You know, can I take photos? You just want to be respectful. They have a very important job. They deal with thousands of people and cases. You want to be respectful of them. They can really be helpful to you. So typically they'll have a counter or a room. And so you go to the window and you'll ask the probate clerk for where the files can be found, and they'll either direct you to a computer printout or a written index of the recent probate filings. So this doesn't mean new cases. This is filings. Each case is going to have multiple filings throughout its period in court. You're looking for the new cases. There's going to be a big stack of documents for you to look through. A couple courthouses I've heard of recently are now online, or where you can look it up on a computer, but most it's a big list of files, and they're going to have you fill out a form that tells them which of the files you want to see. And so there'll be a place where you can list out 4 or 5 or 10 different case numbers, and then they're going to direct you to a computer terminal and give you access to those case numbers. But they want a written record of everyone who's viewed every case, and this is supposed to cut down on identity theft. And yes, there's identity theft and fraud that happens after someone dies. So most important documents, the first document is the petition that's filed by a family member or executor, if they found the will, or personal representative, petitioning the court to probate the estate. This is always the first document that's filed. This is the most important. If you're at the courthouse and you have the case number, you can typically find the will, and the will list who the personal representative is, or it's sometimes listed as executor. And it may also include a list of heirs and their addresses. Once again, sometimes the addresses are not correct because the will could be 10 years old. So that's another example of when we might need to use an online service like Spoke REO or Intellus to find their current address. At this point, I'm not worried about the heirs though. I only worry about the heirs once I get the listing. Letters of testamentary. This is the next big important filing, and this gives the person authority to sell the property. Sometimes this is referred to letters of administration. So you're going to have to find out, do a little research in your county. So it's petition to probate the estate. That's the first thing that happens. Next is an appointment of the personal representative, or confirmation of the personal representative or executor, or appointment of the administrator. And then the third, so that's the person that's going to sell the stuff. And then the third is the letters of testamentary. This is now gives the person that was appointed in the previous action the authority to sell. About 90 days where I'm at. So I don't follow all this stuff. I just want you to know all this stuff. Where I'm at, we publicnoticeleads.com, search for the new petition to probate cases for the week, find the personal representative's name, find their address. If there's real estate in the file, we begin marketing to them. Once we have a decedent with real estate in my area, the name of the personal representative or administrator, and their address, it goes into our contact records management system, top producer, and we begin marketing. That's as far as we take it. If I can get the phone number, so at this point, they get the letters and phone calls if we can find a phone number for the personal representative. But that's as far as I take it. It's some of you are going to, want to take this further. I'm in a county that has about 1,000 probate cases a week. I don't have time to go to the courthouse, spend all day looking through it. It's easier for me just to search through online, find the decedent, and that's the petition to probate the estate, find who the personal representative is or administrator. If there's real estate in the estate in my area, we begin marketing to them. So once again, the case number is always important. That does go in our contact records management system, so if we ever need any additional information. If there's an attorney, get the attorney's information. It's important to know if you're dealing with an executor or personal representative, that means there's a will, or administrator, which means there's not a will. Usually if there's an administrator, then you have to have the court's approval to sell the property. If it's a personal representative or executor, they can sell the property without the court's approval. And so that's authority. Let's see how we doing on time, guys. We can spend a tremendous amount of time on this one. I'm going to pause for just a second, see if we have any questions. Okay, got a question from Carrie. I didn't get the PDFs or video from last week. Carrie, please send me an email. Can't find the website you're on. Publicnoticeleads.com. See, from Richard. In California, in LA County, heirs have to file a preliminary change of ownership report within 150 days of death. Otherwise, the county will reassess the property retroactively after the sale. Oh, yeah, that hurts. I've had clients get a $50,000 property tax bill because they didn't update the county. Trust and probate attorneys aren't advising their clients to do this. Okay, so this sounds like possibly a LA County specific issue, maybe just a California state issue. So Richard, this is an opportunity for you. So in this case, you might choose to modify letter number 1, and I'm going to give these to you next week, but so this is something that they would the personal administrator, executor, or personal representative is going to want to know about. And if they don't have an attorney yet, they probably don't know about it. And if they do have an attorney, they may not be finding out. So this would be a perfect opportunity for you to show value and show that you're an expert, is by finding the case, and you would want to go on the first filing, which is a petition to probate the estate, and you'd want to send a letter to the personal representative or executor and let them know that they need to file a preliminary change of ownership report within 150 days of death, or the county is going to reassess the property retroactively and they're going to get hit with a huge bill. So this is a perfect example of a way for you to stand out and differentiate yourself against other people that are trying to get the business. I'll send everybody the actual web address for public notice leads, You can simply Google, like for instance, if you're in Florida, just Google public notices Florida or public notices in your county, but I'll make sure I send out the web address for everyone. Okay, so this question from Scott. A decedent may own property. What if they have a loan on property? Well, it's going to work the same way. So as soon as letters of testamentary are issued or approved by the court, the personal representative or executor will list and sell the property and pay off the mortgage. If they're upside down in the property, yeah, it would go through foreclosure. But now we're not finding so many properties that they're upside down. A question from Robert. Do you set a price limit on property you want to work with? Let's say 150,000 and up. Yeah, you know that I don't know that there is anything really left around where I'm at that's not worth doing. I mean, obviously, if it's a lot, you know, like a lot of land around here, it might only be worth 30 or 40,000. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm looking for properties, but you know what? Like I said, I look them up in the county tax records, and it shows the assessed value, and properties here are typically worth considerably more than the assessed value. And so, yeah, so not only am I setting a geographic limit on how far I'd be willing to drive to list a property, but you're right, Robert, I would also encourage you to set some type of limit. You know, you look at the value, when you look it up on the tax rolls, I'm not interested in you know, properties that are $30,000 or $40,000, at least in my area. And even in my old service area, when I lived in Missouri, you know, in 2008, we were selling properties for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, but those properties have bounced back up. I don't know if there's anything left anymore under $100,000. And we would, you know, in Missouri, I would take a listing for $100,000. In Phoenix, you know, our average price is up in the twos now. And so, you know, we're looking at easily $200,000 for just about anything out there. See if we have any additional questions. So I'm going to, if I don't get an email from you, I'm going to assume you got the recording from last week. So if you did not get the recording and the files for the 2 documents, I want you to send me an email to frank@ariarenegades.com, and I will send those to you. I also want you to join the Facebook group. It's where I'm providing support. So if you have questions, it's all being answered through the Facebook group. And this time around, there's going to be a bunch of questions, because your homework now is to find the lead source, the online lead source for your county. And I will send each of you the web address for the one that I use. In fact, I'll go back to it. You can see it. Let me search back here, guys, because they have about every county that I've worked with so far. Public notice leads.com. I'll just leave that up on the screen. So this is the source that I use. They have more than just Arizona. Okay, so they have many different states. And if they don't have your state, you're gonna just Google it, your state public notice, and you will find it. There's one in every state, because what happens when you probate a case, it has to be published for the public. This allows anyone who feels they're owed money to come forward. And so it has to be, to be legal, it has to be published. And if it's published, you can find it. Now, it used to be you had to subscribe to a newspaper. In Kansas City, it was the Pulse. So I had to subscribe to the Pulse, and they delivered it like 3 times a week. And I had to go through the newspaper, and you know, it just gave you the information that was available. We circled the ones that we wanted to look up, and then we would look them up. We had to go down to the courthouse with the case number and look them up. Now, almost every state has put them online. So it's still published in a newspaper, and then they put it online. So you look it up online, find the decedent's name, search the tax records. If they own real estate, that's a lead in your area. So I'm going to get this this recording out to everyone. Once again, please, if you have not received a recording from last week, send me an email, frank@ariarenegades.com. If you haven't accepted my invitation to join the Facebook group, please do so. If you can't find the link to it, please send me an email, and I'll make sure I get you all that information out today, as well as a document that lays out what your homework was for last week, what your homework is for this week, and any of the information that that we shared today. All right, guys, next week is the big one. Next week we're going to go over the 4 letters, the sequence of the letters, the envelopes, what you put in the letter, the whole 9 yards, how to address the letter, and how to address the envelope, how to find the telephone numbers for the personal representative, and what to say when you call them. So next week is the big one. We're putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. This is a learning experience, and the best way to learn it is by doing it. I'm trying to give you the outline and the guidance to get you started, and then the reason we set up the private Facebook group is because I know as soon as you start working in this field, you're going to have lots of additional questions, and I'm looking forward to being a resource to help you get these listings. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week, same time,